Hello everyone. In our previous lesson, we learned how to use the shapes and modify them, create circles holding down control, create squares holding down control. We learned how to draw stars and change the number of corners and use the handles. We even did a little bit of Bezier drawing, maybe. You might not have, but yes. So we're going to go ahead and continue and learn how to use these shapes creatively. So first, let's go ahead and make sure that you have your canvas in front of you, because remember, when you go to save your document, let's do it first. I just want to save. I always want to get you into the habit of saving. So let's go save as. And I have mine in my pictures. I just have my digital arts sample that I made, right? And I'm going to go ahead and call this one Rachel Girot Inkscape Plus. How about that? More skills. So Inkscape Plus. All right, so the reason why you want to have your canvas here and you want to do your work in the canvas is because when you export your ping image, it's going to export what's on the canvas, okay? So whatever you do outside of the canvas, and yes, you can put things over there and hold on to them for use later, but you've got to have your artwork on here. And what was the shortcut so that this fills your whole screen? It was 5. Hit the number 5 and it will automatically fit your canvas to your screen. Perfect. So I'm going to select yellow because I would like to make a yellow face, and I'm going to click on this create circles and ellipses and arcs tool, and I will hold down control so that I can make a perfect circle. So you do that too. And then in order to make another circle, that's the eye, I'm just going to click white because I want, oops, Control Z. The reason why this one is selected, so it changed it to white. I'm going to change the next circle to white. So I'm going to go ahead and go Control, and I'm going to make an eye. Okay, and if I want to move that over, remember you have to click your select and transform, and I can use my little arrows and I can arrow it over. If you hold down shift and arrow, it arrows it in larger increments. And then I could also do Control D to duplicate it, and then I'll hold shift and I'll just pop that puppy over here so that I have 2 eyes now, and I can hit Control D again to duplicate it and use these arrows and hold down Control to make it smaller, and I'm going to color that one black. Okay, and maybe I want it to be just a little smaller. Hold down Control to hold the proportion so it doesn't turn into an ellipse. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and hit Shift D to duplicate. You can also do Control C and Control V, but Shift D is one step, and I will just go ahead and use my arrows. Uh-oh, I don't think it duplicated. Was it Control D? No, it was Shift D. There it is. Okay. For some reason it didn't work that first time. All right, so now I've got 2 duplicate eyes, and I can make a mouth using a rectangle. No, not a rectangle. I want to use the ellipse again. I'm going to draw another circle, and this time I'm going to make that one red. So I could make that a little bit bigger, couldn't I? So I'll grab my select and transform and hold down Control. And then I want to make some eyebrows. So I'm going to grab the rectangles and squares tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw a rectangle, and I'll color it black, and I will move it. I'm going to rotate it actually a little bit and bring it over here as an eyebrow. Your, what is it? Edit menu? It's Control D. I keep messing it up. You can find your shortcuts. Okay, Control D. All right, and then also another thing under your object menu is flipping horizontally or vertically. So I can go ahead and flip this by typing an H. So I'm going to hit H, and now I have another one that I can move over here. So I have a great little face. Pause for just a second and get caught up. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you some path tools. So whenever you draw something with a Bezier tool, if you want to use path tools with it, you can just do object to path. or stroke to path. And once you have a path, which these are paths, you can use these path tools. So you've got a union tool where if you put two shapes together, it will join them and make them one. You have a difference tool where if you put them together, it'll subtract one from the other. You have intersection, so it'll only hold on to that intersection. It has exclusion, like a Venn diagram, and division, and cut path. So there's some really fun things that you can do. All right, so let's go ahead, and I'm going to grab my select and transform tool, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle around everything. That's going to select everything so I can click and drag it all over here for a moment, and then I'll click off of it, and I'm going to grab my mouth real quick, and I can zoom in if I click on this zoom tool and just zoom in around the object that I want to be close to. That's a really easy way to get close. So we are going to, I'm just going to click off of that. If I don't want a stroke on there, do you know what I do? I can come down here and hold down Shift and click None on that palette. Remember that one? That was the shortcut. Or you've got your object, fill in stroke, where you can go to stroke and click on the X here, okay? But remember, you have to have your object selected to do that. So we're going to create a little smiley face. Now there is another way to create the smiley face. If you click on the Create Ellipsis tool, do you remember the little Pac-Man version that you have? See how my cursor is on the inside? It creates an arc if it's on the inside. This would be one way that I could create a smiley face. And then remember, if my cursor is out here, it creates the Pac-Man effect. So they're just a little bit different in the way that they behave. Okay, but another way I wanted to teach you is using these paths tools, okay? So let's go ahead and create a rectangle. I'm just going to draw this rectangle over the top, and that down below, I want that little red part to be my smiley face. So I have to select both of these objects. So I'm going to grab my select and transform tool and hold down. I think I need to select the red one first and then the black one second. I believe the order does matter. So I'll click path, and then which one of these do I want? I want difference, don't I? I want to cut out the rectangle from the arc. There, it worked. Let's see what would have happened if I'd done it the other order. I'm going to hit Control Z, and let's see if I hit the rectangle first and then held Shift and selected the circle. Now let's go to Path, Difference. Oh, it had the same exact effect, probably because I drew the circle first. Okay, so note to self, Mrs. Girot only teaches this class, once a year. So pretty much, half a year to a year goes by, and then I start using Inkscape and figuring out how it works again. So that's good to know that the first shape that you draw is the one that's going to be impacted. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to hit 5 because that's going to bring me back to my canvas, and I can go ahead and place my little smiley face over here. I can size it how I want to. I believe I can flip it vertically if I want to make a frowny face. And remember, it was H for horizontal flipping. So learning some shortcuts is good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and select our face, and I'm going to drag it over here. And I think I'm going to hold down Control and just make it a little bit bigger so I can see what I'm working with. Okay, so let's say that I'm going to just hold Shift and select both of these eyebrows, and I'm going to move them over here for right now. Let's say I want to make these eyes half circles too. So, and you're wanting to, I'm going to zoom in, and you're wanting to create the half circles with them using the difference tool under path. What I found out is that you can only do difference with one other object at a time. Okay, so if you want to do it, you're going to have to grab your rectangle, draw your rectangle over it. You will select one of the, holding down Shift, one of the circles, okay, and then go path, difference. All right, and now I have to do it again for the other people. So I'm going to grab the rectangle tool again, and I'm going to draw another rectangle, and I will use my select tool to hold shift and select the circle inside, path, difference, and now I've got the droopy eye. So really what I can do is just hold down shift and grab these two and get rid of them. And then I can duplicate this one. So if I want to group it, Control G to group, Control D to duplicate, and boom, whoops, something didn't group there. Hold on, let me try this again. I've got to hold down shift and select them both and then hit Control G. Now Control D to duplicate, and I can have both of my beautiful droopy eyes. And what's that? If you can hit H, oh, H is flipping them horizontally and V will flip them vertically. So you can play around with that. Maybe you have one eye up, one eye down. I don't know. You can even click on them again and rotate them. Ooh, that looks kind of angry. I'm gonna V. And yeah, let's rotate that. I like that. I like that angry. Nice. Double, yeah, click on it. Oops, it's not grouped together. Let's try it again. There we go. Oh, I'm so angry. Woohoo, I got it to work for one. And you can flip hitting V vertical and make a really nice little frowny face guy. So you can make some really cute emojis, and I would love to see you experiment and create a fun little collage of faces. All right, let's see if I can get Union to work. I'm going to go ahead and pick an orange color, and I will grab the circle tool, hold down Control, and make a nice little circle. And I want to create a little rectangle here. I'm going to put that one there, and let me change the color of that one. There we go. And so you can see that I have two separate objects. And if I want to join them, of course I can group them together, but I can also hold down shift and select them both. And I can go path, union, and it becomes one object. And hallelujah, it worked. I'm going to file save. All right, I'm going to try and make a heart now. We've got Valentine's Day coming up. So let's see here. Let's grab two circles. I'll make them red. Or maybe a pink color might be nice. Hold down Control, make one circle, and then duplicate that, Control D, and then just slide that duplicate over if it actually exists. Yes, it does. I'm going to hit Control Z, and I'm actually going to use my shift and use my arrow so that it's perfectly horizontal over there on the same line. And so I'm going to grab a square, and I'll color this one just a little bit differently. Whoops. Color this square just a little bit differently. Here we go. Hold down Control to make a square. All right. Okay, and I'm gonna need to rotate that. Handles, you can hold down Control, and it will automatically rotate at 15-degree increments. So if you do it 3 times, that's going to give you your 45-degree angle. I'm probably going to have to click on that and make this larger. Hold down Control to do it. I'm going to slide this up until it's just right. So I'm going to zoom in, grab my zoom tool, and get in here so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm trying to line it up just right so that those edges are just perfect. Does that look about right? Might have to go up just a smidgen. It's not too bad. Okay. So not bad, all right? But then I end up having this little piece up here. So this is a great opportunity where I can use that difference tool. So I can grab a rectangle, and let's see, it can do black and draw a rectangle over that. And let's grab our select tool, hold down shift so they're both selected, and go path, difference. and hallelujah, it cut off that little corner. So now I can just select everything and go path, union, and voila! I have a heart. Okay, so I'm going to hit the number 5 and bring myself back to my canvas. And I'm just gonna set some of these things aside. I'm going to select my face and move this guy over here. And so here's my awesome heart. I'm gonna move it up here. I'm just gonna shrink it down, hold control so that you maintain your proportions. And I want you to go ahead and duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. And just, oops, I wanna move these on the y-axis. So, well, is this Y or X? Just, I guess it's X. So I'm gonna hold down control as I move it, and as I move it, it's only going to either move perfectly up and down or perfectly left and right, vertically and horizontally. So let me hit Control Z and get it back. So hold down control, and then that will be another way of keeping it on the same plane or on the same axis. And so you've got these hearts, and can you picture, I think I need a brighter cherry red heart. Can you picture these hearts in a video game? And then maybe with one of your hearts off, it has just a slightly different color. So I want you to start thinking about creating your own little video game scene. Okay, so now let's make another type of eye shape. So let's make a circle. And let's see, what color do we want to make this eye? I'm going to grab something fun. I guess I'll do maybe a baby blue color. Okay, so I'm going to hold down control to draw a circle, and I want to draw a second circle. So I'm keeping, well, actually, I'm just going to Control D and duplicate it and hold down control and move it down. And we're going to be looking at this little intersection between the two, so I'm going to change the color of that one. And I can make it a little bit opaque. I'm in a fill and stroke box right here, and you notice that you have this opacity. If something's opaque, it means you can't see through it. But if you decrease the opacity, you can see through it. So notice that now I can see that could be the shape of an eye, right? So if I hold down Shift and I select both of these circles, and let me, before I do that, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so we can see this better. If I, once again, just select with the Select and Transform tool, both of these, I can go up to Path, and if I do Union, it will make them both the same. If I do Difference, oops, I might have to hit Control Z. There we go. What's the other one? Path. Let's do Intersection. Inkscape encountered an internal error, and we'll close now. Bummer. Okay, so I hope I saved recently, but I have a feeling I might have lost a lot of my work. So I'm going to go ahead and go Open, and I named it Inkscape Plus, and I've got 2 of them, and I'm not sure what the difference is. You know what I would like to do is go Details, then I can tell which one is newest. Okay, so this one right here saved at 11:53. There it is. All my stuff is there. Woo! It auto-saved. Pretty cool. All right, so let me go ahead and zoom in again. Let's try this. It's not liking that I'm making a video and trying to do all these complex tasks. So let's try intersection, and voila, it worked. Sometimes you just need to let your Inkscape crash. Okay, I'm gonna click save. All right, I'm gonna hit 5 to bring me back to my canvas. So there's my eye. Awesome. Okay, can you picture yourself making the pupil that goes in there? Yes, yes you can. And you're gonna wanna make it, oopsie, I accidentally changed that one because I have it selected. And you're gonna wanna make it white, right? So I should zoom in. It's so hard to see what I'm doing. Yay, okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hold down Control and see what happens. Okay, Control makes the circle. Okay, about the circle. So we've talked about using Control to control the dimensions and make a circle, right? Well, when you want to do another circle in the center, I'm going to click off of that circle so I can change my color, my fill to white. You know, you go and you're like just trying to eyeball it and get it right, but you know, it's never quite centered. Well, I'm thinking if you hold down Shift instead and put your cursor towards the center, it will let you draw the circle that way. Now, it doesn't look like it's drawing a perfect circle for me, which is why I was thinking you might be able to hold Shift and Control. Hit Control Z. You might try it at home. Yeah, it is working. Shift and Control. But when I make a video, and that last one, for some reason, I tried it and it wouldn't work. That is how you can draw your circles from the inside out. And I'm going to assume that it would work like that for a square too. So if you were doing a square and then you wanted to, well, you have to hold down Control if you want a square. So let's say I did a square and I wanted to put another square right in the center. I'm going to make that one yellow. I can hold Control and Shift. Whoops, I have to have the square tool. Control and Shift, and I should, yep, starting from the center, be able to make it go out. And notice the snap is on. See that funny thing it's doing? It's just snapping. So click on turn the snap off over here. It says enable snapping. Yeah, we want to disable that. So I'm going to hit Control Z. I'm going to do it again. Control and Shift. I'm going to put my cursor as close to the center as I can. And it's a little bit off. I can arrow down once I have it selected using my Select and Transform tool and get it pretty close to the center. You can also manually enter numbers up here if you want it to be absolutely perfect. So yeah, that's another thing you can do. And then I can just select it and hold Control and make it as large as I want to fit in there. I can put a stroke on this. Nope, I can't. I wonder if I can. That would be nice. Maybe I'll just go ahead and take the stroke off of my pupil by holding down Shift and clicking down here in the bottom so there's none. And I can duplicate that, Control D, and hold down Control, shrink that down. I'm going to change it to black. Okay, so what have I got here, people? What do I have here? I'm going to grab this circle here and I'm going to make it yellow. I'm going to make a big circle here. I'm going to send it to the back. So object, lower, page down would be a way to send that to the back. So I'm going to use my page down. I'll select it. Nope, that didn't work. Where's the page down button? Oh, there it is, page down. Okay, page down, sends it to the back. Whoa, page down again. Okay, so what am I doing? What do you think I'm doing? Okay, great. I'm gonna go ahead and hit 5 so I can come back and see what I'm doing. What if I do a rectangle now? Let's, whoops, I'm gonna click off of that. Let's do a rectangle and I'm gonna put that one like right here. And I need to, I'm gonna go ahead and page down. Page down. Okay, it's underneath there. I'm going to take the circle and the rectangle and I'm going to path union, just Control plus if you want to do the shortcut. And now I have a minion. Okay, so there was that little issue where I was like, oh, I want there to be a stroke on the eye. So I just thought of a way, and this is all just, you have to be creative. So I'm gonna hit Control D and duplicate that. It's on top now. We're okay, don't worry. I'm gonna hold down Shift and make it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to color it black, and then I'm gonna page down. Okay, and now I can move it behind here and that gives me that outline that I wanted. Let's hit a 5. Oops. Let's hit a 5 and could you, okay, that little shape that we made right there made a really great eye, but it would also make a good leaf. So let's go ahead and make a leaf. I'm gonna grab my circle, tool. I'm going to change it green, and I'm going to hold down Control. Once again, make my first circle, and Control D to duplicate it, and then hold down, grab my select tool, hold down Control, and move it down underneath. So I'm creating a little leaf shape there between the intersection. And if you want to change the opacity so you can see, whoops, ooh, it's changing the opacity of my whole screen. And not just not just that. It's because I have the layers menu here. I need my fill and stroke. So pay attention to the details. All right, so now you can see. So let's go ahead and hold down Shift, and let's go to Path, Intersection, and make a leaf. Well, isn't that pretty? So now that you have that leaf, you can click on it again and you can rotate it. You can Control D, duplicate it. You can H, flip it horizontally. And we could make an apple. And we could actually make an apple out of one of these hearts if we wanted to. So I'm going to put this over here, and I will zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And those leaves are obviously a little bit too big, or maybe my apple's a little too small. So I might just grab my apple and hold down Control and make it a little larger. Oh, it looks like we have a duplicate of it under there. I'm going to delete that one. Okay, and I'm going to page down, send that to the back, and maybe I do need to, and I'm going to just go ahead and show you that we can change the shapes of these. We don't always have to hold down Control and keep the dimensions exactly, you know, the same. So you can do some playing around with that. How would you make your stem? Well, I would probably use the pen tool. This would be a great place to use the pen tool. I would just go back here and I would just click, 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 and when you get to the end, you're going to double click. I just had to click on mine. And then remember, you can grab this Edit Paths by Nodes tool, and then you can play around and make that a rounded shape so that it actually looks like a stem. And we can fill it with brown, and we can page down so that it's behind everything and coming out. So there we have our cute, and maybe one of these leaves is coming from behind. So let's go ahead and I'll page that one down a little bit. And that one's coming up from behind. Now what are we going to do about this bottom part to make that an apple shape? Well, just get creative. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw an oval here, and it's transparent. Remember when we were in fill and stroke and we changed the opacity? So I'm going to bring that back up to 100%. And let's see if I can just manipulate the shape of that. I can rotate it a little bit. And, you know, maybe this isn't going to be the best solution, but the whole thing is just about playing around. So I'm going to go ahead and Control D, duplicate that, and I'm going to hit V and flip it. And then I'll move that one over here, and I will page down and send that back. And that looks pretty good for an apple. All right, I'm going to hit 5. So we've got some really cute things. Are you picturing like your little video game scene coming to life? Are you picturing being able to make a really cute, fun character? Okay, so let's make this heart a little more three-dimensional. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on it, and we're going to use the gradient tool. If you don't see it down here, then just click on your double arrow. There are the other tools down there. And if you aren't able to see, whoops, I got my zoom tool on. If you want to, you can hit, I think, Control minus. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought I'd be able to decrease the things, like the size of everything, but maybe not. But here's the gradient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click on the gradient tool, and then I'm just going to click at the top and then start dragging in whatever direction I want. And so if you look at the bottom left, you'll notice that I've got red going to complete opacity or complete transparency. So you can keep on dragging. Now, I don't necessarily want this heart transparent, so what I'm going to do is if this is selected, I can pick whatever color I want that to bleed into. So maybe I'll click here and I'll pick a lighter shade. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. Okay, so I can also double click in the middle and create another node. And that node could possibly be a darker one, and then I can click on that bottom node and make it even darker. So this is how you make gradients, and then you can click and drag that and move that around. You can have it perfectly vertical. Let's go ahead and kind of zoom back a little bit. So I'm going to hit 5. And notice how three-dimensional it's looking now. That's great. Let's go ahead and do something with a star. We haven't done anything with a star lately. So I'm going to click on the stars and polygons. I want to make sure that I have star selected, and I'm just going to do a typical 5-point star. So let me go ahead and guess what happens? It uses your old settings. So obviously I did something funny before. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click this little paintbrush right here, and it's going to reset my shape parameters. Thank you. This is a really nice paintbrush to know. I'm going to click save. All right, so I'm going to drag my star using my select tool, and let's click and rotate it and make sure that it's, whoops, that's not rotating. Sorry, gotta click it again. Let's make sure that it's upright. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see what I'm doing here. And we're going to duplicate this star. So select it and hit Control D, and then just hold down Control. I know there's something I can hit like Control and Shift. Oh, there, Control and Shift. Yes, Control and Shift will make it so that it kind of goes to the center. I want to make this yellow. It didn't work. Okay, I also want to make the outer one yellow. Ding. But for the inner one, I'm going to put a gradient on it. So I'm going to grab this gradient tool, and I will click at the top, and whoops, just click and drag. Actually, you click, hold, and drag. Okay. And so let's see what's happening. Up at the top, I think I want that to be white. And yes, I want that yellow down at the bottom. So notice that that's going to make my star look a little more three-dimensional. I'm going to click outside of that, and maybe I just want this star. I'm going to try Alt and see if that does it. Oh, it doesn't like it. I'm just going to hold down. I know there's a way that you can make it so that it kind of expands from the center out. I just can't figure it out, and I don't have enough time to look it up for you. Let's go ahead and zoom out and see how that looks. Let's see, do we want those to be a little bit rounded? Is there a way, if we click on the star tool, can we round those tips? Yes, we can. Look at that, looks so pretty. So I'm going to select the one in the middle and click the star tool, and I will round the inside one. Oh, that is so cute. All right, let's go ahead and hit 5. Come out. Look at that star. So that's beautiful. I can go ahead and grab that. If I want to group it, I can, or if I want to do union, I can. So I'll just go ahead, path, union, and now, oops, that didn't work. That's not what I want to do. I want to group them. Sorry. So Control G. I forgot it's going to happen if you. It's going to change the color to the one at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to hold down Control. I'm going to make that smaller. And so let's just imagine that you have a little video game, and here you go. You've got duplicates of these, and holding down Control, I can slide these little puppies over, and here's your star system. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work on this little guy right here. I'm just gonna grab and select that, and I'm thinking that I want to put a radial gradient on it. So I'm gonna click on that and select it. And if the gradient tool is selected, you'll notice that you've got the linear gradient, which we just did, which went like up and down or whatever direction. You also have a radial. This one is creating the gradient on the fill, but if you wanted to create a gradient on your stroke, you can do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on radial, and I'm going to draw. Let's see what happens. So let's see. I believe I can move this. Yes, I can. And I can drag that out, and I can drag that in. Okay, but I'm not liking the transparency thing because then I can't see what's underneath. So instead of having it transparent down here, I am going to make it maybe a little darker. And with this one, it looks like maybe I need to make this a little lighter. So I'm going to grab, yeah, that's not working the way I want it to. And then it says stops. Okay, those are my stops. I can add more stops. So maybe if I double click here and add another stop, I'm going to put white in the middle, and I'm going to add this stop. This is going to be orange. Okay, so that kind of helps. There we go. Ooh, I'm getting a nice sunburst effect. That is cool. I like it. Okay, and then I can drag these. Okay, I don't know if you're liking that or not, what I'm doing, but I'm loving it. It's beautiful. I can grab that and move it so it's more in the middle. Okay, so you can see how you can make things look three-dimensional. You could probably add a nice little gradient to your apple and make a little shine on the corner. You could add a gradient to make some shading on one side of it. You could do it with your leaves. So play around with using gradients to make things look three-dimensional. So for this little video game scene, I also want you to be thinking about creating a nice little platform. Notice I can select everything and move it all at one time. Create a nice little platform. How could you do that? Like, just get really creative. Like if you select that ellipse tool, or even if you select the rectangle tool, you have the ability to, well, that's the 3D, sorry, the rectangle tool. You have the ability to make rounded edges. Like, what does this one say? I think that one's, I'm going to click save. Bing. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to use green. I'm going to try to create like a floating platform. And so how I'm going to do that is grab this and round the edges. And I can stretch this out. Let's see. What does this one do? There we go. I can stretch this out and add a gradient to it. Click save. Let's see. Gradient tool. Start at the top, work my way down. That gradient is actually going the opposite way that I want it. So I'm going to hit Control Z. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. Okay, and I can just take this handle as far up as I want, but nonetheless, it's created a three-dimensional, and I don't have to put that at the very bottom. I can put it in the middle so that it's really dark at the bottom, and yeah, just a nice three-dimensional little spot. And then another thing that I can do, I'm going to click save, is I can click off of that. I can grab my pen tool, my Bezier tool, and I can create, just click, 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 and then come all the way back to the end, double click or hit enter. I'm going to fill that with a green color. Let's see. That might be not quite the color that I want it. And I'm going to page down and put it in the back. And let's try to make that one. Let's add a gradient to that. So I'm going to go from the bottom and drag up to the top. And maybe I'm going to have the bottom be the same color green. Well, maybe I want the, I don't know, I'll just do the same color green as what's up at the top, and maybe the top I want to be that nice color green. I can change the colors of everything if I'm not liking it. But that looks pretty good. So I'm going to grab my select tool and put that out there. Color scheme might not be my favorite. This looks like it's a little transparent. So I'm going to go over to my fill and stroke and just check to see. Oh, that's because of my gradient. So maybe I just need to bring that and hug that down a little bit so that it's not showing through. Okay, perfect. So there's that. I can make little platforms. I can move that how I like it. And so this be like a little floating platform that your character that you create could be jumping from platform to platform, right? You can add some grass with your Bezier tool again, just coming over here and just being like click, 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 and then go back to the beginning and fill that puppy up with green. And you can send it back, page it down one, and apply the gradient to it. Just click and drag it up, and you might have to change the colors so that you've got the dark color on the bottom and a lighter color on top. This one right here, I might go back to this shape right here and change the colors that I have on the gradient there so that I do the dark one on the bottom and whoops, I'll go back to that. It just seemed to go away. I'm going to put the light one on the bottom and I'm going to try the dark one on the top and see if that makes more sense. Probably not. So dark on the bottom, light on the top. There, that looks a little more cohesive. I've got my grass having a stroke on the outside, which I don't want, so I'm going to hold down shift and click on the X to get rid of that stroke. And I really want that grass to stand out a little bit more, so I'm going to do what? I don't know. It doesn't look too bad. I'd like to click on the gradient. I'm feeling like there, that's better. That's a little better. So you can add some tufts of grass coming up to the top and just create fun little platforms. You can select the whole thing and you can group it, Control G if you want to, and then you can duplicate these, or you could hit V, whoops, not V, H, and flip them around. So create a fun game, okay, where your character can jump around and has these fun little things. So that is the goal for this week, is for you to create a video game scene. Remember, when you're done creating your scene, let me just go ahead and take this minion here. I have to select the, oopsie, Control Z, select the whole entire minion. There, oops, doesn't want to have to hold shift there. I'm going to hit Control G and group that. I can put my little minion up here, and maybe I'd give him some little legs or something. I could have a whole bunch of minions, and maybe he is going after this apple. Control G, I'm going to group that, and I'm going to control and size it down. So maybe he's trying to get this apple, or maybe he's trying to, whoops, Control Z. Oh yeah, that's just a duplicate. Maybe he's trying to get a star. I don't know, but whatever it may be. And maybe there's a big old grumpy guy that he has to overcome. Control G. You know, who's in the way, who's always watching. It's your video game. You decide, you know, how you want to do it. So how's he going to outsmart that guy and get to the apple? So you decide how you want your game. Remember, you have to do a background. So I highly recommend, this is where you're going to get your layers. Are they over here on the side tucked away? Get your layers out, start adding layers, okay? So put your apples in the apple layer, okay? And you can copy and then just go to the layer and hit paste and put it in your layer. So right now everything's in layer 1. So I'm just going to grab that apple. I'm going to hit Control X to delete it. Click on apple layer, Control V, and now my apple is in my apple layer, and I can go like that. Okay, so create a layer for your stars if that's what you're going to have in your game. All right, and so I can just take all my stars by holding down Shift and selecting them, and I can Control X to cut them and get on my star layer and go Control V and paste them into my star layer. So make sure that you have things in different layers. It gives you a lot of versatility. You can, you know, hide things, and your minion or whatever character would be on a different layer. So I'm going to be asking that you are able to use those commands, the union, the difference, the gradient, putting them together and making new shapes, and making some things three-dimensional. Also, don't forget, you also are going to have a background layer, right? At least one. So background 1, and that's going to go on the bottom. You can grab it and click it and move it down, or just use the arrows if you're making a video like me and it doesn't work. So I'm going to hide everything else right now, and I'm going to grab a rectangle. I want to make the sky blue, and I'm going to, did it select it? I might have run out of RAM. Make my sky blue. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Yeah, let's find out. Okay. Oh, I got rounded corners. So look, come up here, make corners sharp. There we go. So now I've got my background. I can add my things back to it. Okay, you can have fire down at the bottom. Add fire. Okay. You can use your pen tool on your fire layer. So I'm going to just get rid of that other stuff and lock the background and just make sure that I am doing my fire only on the fire layer. This doesn't look like fire right now, but if I fill that with orange, right, and I make a gradient, and I'm not saying that I've ever tried making fire before, and I turn that top one yellow, that maybe I can get some fire. And if I grab my edit paths, my nodes, and I can just grab these and turn them into the most beautiful looking flames that you've ever seen. Yes, okay, lovely. So you can just grab the edges, or you can find the handles and work with the handles. You know, it's your gig. You get to decide how that looks. I don't think I want the stroke on my fire, so hit Shift X, get rid of your stroke. Okay, now I can bring everything back. There's my fire. Maybe it's a little too high and I don't want it jumping up quite that high. Forgot to tell you, when you're done, make sure you click Save. You're gonna submit that named, you can rename it if you want to. Video game, that would be a good idea. File, save as Rachel Girot video game scene. Okay, hit enter, and then you're going to file. This is where you're going to get your ping. Export ping. Remember, click the close when complete button. It's gonna name it and save it in the same place as a ping. That's what this will export as. If you wanted to change it, you could click export as, and that'll change the way it's going to name it. But this button right here with the green check that says export, that's the only export button there is. And notice that because we said to close it, when it was actually exported, it's gone. So you know it's exported. I can go into my Windows Explorer, and if you notice, I've got my video game scene right here. And I've got the Inkscape version of it and the ping version. You're going to submit both the ping, which is the image that you can publish for people to see, and the SVG Inkscape file, which I'll be able to look at and see your layers and see your processes and know that you did the hard work. Good job.